This weekend, a police helicopter involved in anti-gang operations crashed in Rio's city of God favela, killing 4 officers. It is not yet clear whether it was an accident or was shot down by drug traffickers. Last month, a shootout between police and criminals in another favela left 3 people dead near the famous Copacabana beach. Both incidents happened in neighborhoods that have been part of a massive government pacification program aimed at pushing drug gangs out of nearly 40 favelas or slums. The program, created in 2008, has had some success, but incidents like the Copacabana shooting have eroded support. Its architect, Rio's security secretary, resigned in October.
From the beginning, I've always said that peace will not come from a policeman patrolling with a gun. The truth is, the state is struggling to organize the disorder it allowed to happen here 40, 50 years ago.
Though there was a respite during the Rio Olympics when 85,000 soldiers and police officers were deployed to protect tourists and athletes, violence has since spiked. More than 3,600 murders in all have been reported across Rio this year through September, a rise of almost 18% from the same period last year, according to official numbers. And now, to make matters worse, Brazil is facing its worst recession in a century, with rising unemployment and police among the many state workers being paid late. Violence experts are concerned.
A comeback is not the right word because violence never went away completely. An intensification of the old model of armed confrontation in the war against traffickers is obviously more probable.
Rio is still significantly safer than it was a decade ago, but experts say the war on crime will be tougher with no end in sight to the financial crisis.
And Lucrecia, Franco joins us now from Rio. So you mentioned the pacification program started within the past decade, and at one point it seemed to be working. So what changed?
Well, it started working in 2008 when thousands of police officers and the army with the tanks actually took over several favelas or slums that were absolutely controlled by not just one drug gang, but several rival drug gangs. And that happened during decades. And actually, it didn't fail. But at that moment in 2008, when it started, there was Brazil was living the boom of the commodities. I mean. Brazil's economy was healthy, and after this process that was complex and needed police officers, needed constant investment, and in 2014 and the mid of 2014 and 2015, well, the government declared the country was entering a recession. So with the budget cuts, of course, there was no way to maintain this pacification projects, and units are still going. But as we saw, the traffickers are back, and well, they're of course attacking not only the favelas, but the rest of the city as well, and violence is spiking, Elaine.
You know, we have seen some recent protests in places like Rio. It seems the focus of them are the economy. So is there a common link between these protests?
Well, yes. Well, the common theme, I would say, between the protests is actually President Michel Temer's austerity measure plan. It's a constitutional amendment that will cap spending for the public spending for the next 20 years. And this was announced after he replaced President Dilma Rousseff in August. This is to try to bring the economy back in track. It's the only way to cut spending by the inflation of the previous year. And people are actually afraid, and they're angry, and they're afraid because they think it will affect key sectors such as health and education, and will free salaries. And and they're angry because they also say that they didn't elect President Michel Temer, and they are very angry on this unpopular austerity measures, Elaine.
All right, CCTV's Lucrecia Franco reporting to us from Rio de Janeiro.